ice up soon.
Yeah, see if I can zoom in on that tree stump back there.
It's just starting to ice up,
Yeah.
actually. But here we are again, in the corner of middle and nowhere, which is a good place to be, believe me. I wish more people could experience it. Just following up on some comments that I had made in the previous video about food, and we're talking about how China doesn't produce enough food for its own people and they have to import it. And that leads to the question about hungry people, starving people all over the world, and there's not enough food to go around. And I'll have people know that's by design. There is an industry that is built around not having enough food because there's more than enough for everybody, but it gets thrown away. More than 60% of it is thrown away, actually, and I did a video on Coffee Talk about it a couple of years back. But more than 60% of it is thrown away from the farms and from the distributors because it's just cheaper to do so. And that's not just in the United States, that's globally speaking. Most of the heavy food producing nations, to include China, throws away a vast majority of their farmed food. Not just fruits and vegetables, but meats as well, gets disposed of as the market shifts. So don't just say that it's because America and because of capitalism, because socialist and communist countries do this too. If the market shifts and they're not going to make as much as they expected from their crop yield or from their collection of butchering, if it's an industrial sized farm that has cattle or pigs or whatever, they throw it away. And they don't just throw it away, it is literally disposed of, i.e. it goes to a landfill, which is a complete waste. It's not made into animal feed, it's not made into fertilizer or anything useful. It goes to a landfill and gets buried. So you're not even putting it back into where you took it out of. You're draining nutrients from an area and then not replacing it, not replenishing it. Anyone who has a private farm or a garden or something knows how detrimental that can be. No compost, no animal feed, nothing, because it's cheaper to throw it in the dump and write it off. Farms do it all the time, meat producers do it, and distributors do it when they don't think, okay, we bought like 50 tons of melons and the market is gone down again, and so it's cheaper for us to throw it away and write it off than it is to sell it at a loss. And it's a terrible waste. And then you have additional waste because you get closer to 70% when you count from farm to table, because you have the restaurant waste, food that they have to throw out, food that supermarkets has to dispose of, food that people don't finish, can't be bothered with a doggy bag, too damn good for it. Food that they throw away at home, you can't feed it to an animal, you can't save it for leftovers, you can't compost it, or don't want to be bothered, and it goes right in the trash. Way too much of this happens. This is the reason why there's not enough food, because there is, but no one wants to pay for that, because now if you have food, let's say a farm has an overproduction of something, in order to make it usable by the general population, it's got to be processed. So it's got to be freeze-dried and bagged, or it's got to be dried and bagged, frozen or dry goods, because you can buy dry beans, dry rice, whatever. Canned, something's got to be done with it. No one's going to pay for that. They're like, loss, throw it away. Loss, throw it away. This is a system by design that is surrounded around by the economy. The economy dictates that. So the people, when you have politicians and activists and people like that crying, there's not enough food in the world and people are starving, they know this. What I'm talking about, they know this, and this is something you can look up for yourself, how much food is thrown away from the farm. You can find images of it, you can find article after article on the subject. It's a system designed around that, either because of profit percentages being lost, and again, this is globally, not just in the United States, and it does happen in socialist and communist countries as well. Don't make the mistake of thinking it's a capitalist issue, because people like throwing that under the bus nowadays. Or there's legal issues, and that's a big problem also. Once upon a time, back in the early 90s, I was the grocery manager for a store called J. Builder and Sons. They don't exist anymore. They had a deal with their produce where the produce truck wasn't going to come unless it was a certain weight. So to put that weight over, they would buy apple cider. And I mean like 100 gallons or more of it, you know, gallon jugs of apple cider to put the weight over on the truck. And they couldn't sell the apple cider, so they'd throw it away. They're buying apple cider so that they can go right into the dumpster. And so I gave it away. I gave it away to a church group that did a community dinner every Wednesday. It was actually the Brighton Congregational Church. And man, did I get reamed for doing that, because they were worried that if anything happens, you know, the church or somebody at that dinner can turn around and sue us. So we can't give away food because they're afraid of getting sued.
Yeah, and that reminds me of a situation when I was in the National Guard. After I got out of active duty, I was in the National Guard. And we either had a Christmas dinner or a Thanksgiving dinner. I can't remember. But the company had a dinner for the soldiers.
They sure do cater a lot.
Yeah. And it was a lot of food, and we ate it Saturday, and we ate the remainder on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was still a lot left. I mean, a lot. And everybody was looking like, what are we going to do with all this food? I mean, because some of the soldiers packed some stuff up to take home to their kids, for themselves, but it was still a lot left. And at that time, I was volunteering at a homeless shelter, and the homeless shelter had that one company had a women's shelter with kids, and they had a men's shelter. And I told our first sergeant, I was like, hey, I volunteer at a homeless shelter. I could take the food there. And he was like, oh, that's a great idea. All the soldiers were like, yeah, okay. And we were all packing it up. And then, you know, he left and came back. I'm only speculating that he told the command what we were doing with the food. And then he came back with the commander, and the commander was like, hey, I understand what y'all doing, but we can't do that. We have to throw it away. And I'm like, why? We're going to take it to a homeless shelter. They're going to eat it.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's legal reasons. If anybody got sick, we would be held accountable.
Yeah.
And everybody was asking him, so you mean we got to throw all this food away? And it was a lot of food. And they had like turkeys and ham that we didn't even carve into. It was still whole, you know, and a lot of stuff. And he was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I appreciate what y'all doing. It's a great idea. But regulation, we can't do it.
And there's just too much of that in the world. Either worried about, you know, like I said, it's cheaper to throw it away and write it off than to do anything else with it. You could use it for animal feed. You could use it for fertilizer, something. Put it back into the earth that you took it from. I'm big on that, is giving it back somehow. Feed a stray animal something.
Yeah.
You know, it's compost it. If you're taking that and you're packing it into a landfill, you're robbing nutrients from one place and then burying it somewhere where it's not going to do any good.
But I know America, and I'm not sure about other countries.
Yeah.
We've cultivated a culture to sue for
That's
any
true.
reason, and
Or
I
at
mean,
least try.
yeah. So now you have companies, organizations that are afraid to do anything, even though they know it's right, even though they know it's going to help somebody else, because they don't want to get the risk of being sued. And then I thought about what you said too about people always going on about capitalism and how capitalist countries are the ones that waste the most food. And the people that say that, do they eat every morsel
Yeah.
of food? How much food do they throw away? You know? So.
Yeah, it's like that one picture. There's a meme going around where it has a girl sitting there with, at an airport, I think, and she's got a laptop. It's like this Apple laptop with a bumper sticker on it that says "Crush Capitalism," and she's got like a latte, and it says, "It must be nice to sit there with your $1,000 laptop and your like $8 coffee and talk about crushing capitalism." You know, that some of the people that decry that are some of the most wasteful people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And decadent.
Very
Incredibly
decadent.
decadent.
And even the doggy bag thing you said, I knew a person that went to restaurants, came back every time with a doggy bag. And when
I
he
know who you're
got
talking
home,
about. He ate out like every day.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when he came home, that doggy bag went right in the trash. So it's like, I guess he figured, well, I don't want them to think I'm
Yeah.
going to throw away the food, so I'll take it home and throw it away.
Yeah.
You're throwing it away.
You're still throwing it away. It's shameful.
So now you waste the container, the bag, and the food.
Yeah. Creating even more waste.
But
It's just shameful how that works. And also pantries too.
yeah,
Because we've done the pantry thing, and it's been a while, but I've done I've done on this channel like pantry hauls to show people, hey, you know, you can, if you need to, you can supplement your food budget a great deal from food pantries, and they would be begging us to take more. And the one video where I have, I forget, it's like a 20-pound block of ham,
yeah,
for deli ham, and they had hundreds of them, and it was like, do you want more of these? Please, take it home and feed it to your dog. You got a dog? Because we got to throw them all out. We have nowhere to store these. They have so much at some of these pantries. I know that there was a shortage for a couple of months last year because of the food panic when the shelves got empty. But they had so much food that they have to dispose of it too, because they have nowhere to keep it.
yeah,
And that's a shame, and that bothered them. They're like, oh, please, you know, help us take as much as you can.
yeah.
You know, just to get it out of here, because we don't have anywhere to store it. There's so much coming in. So just think about that. There's so much thrown away, yet people are hungry. How does that work? Stop throwing it away to develop a more useful system. But you know what? There's no money in that.
Yeah, and the laws make it where you can't. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you talked about it before, and I know it's for sure because again, I used to volunteer with a homeless shelter and with a homeless ministry, and we would go out on Saturdays, and they had a law a couple of years back. They didn't enforce it, not in Georgia.
Not in Georgia.
But they did put it out that church organizations can't go out and feed the homeless. And we still went out, and it was always like about 5 churches, and you know, we would see each other out.
And this was some time ago, so we don't know.
Yeah,
if it's
this was
gotten
some
worse.
years ago.
It could be stricter now.
It was in the early, like the mid 2000s, kind of early to mid 2000s. And I know at one church, they used to set up a big old grill, and they would cook hamburgers and hot dogs.
Sure.
We would pass out sandwiches and clothes, and other churches would pass out food. But we were in different areas, but we would cross paths. And the police at that time, all they did was drive around. They drove around for about a month because we would go out every Saturday.
Yeah.
But they never stopped us. They never said nothing. They didn't flash their light. They didn't blow their horn. They just kind of rolled by slowly. We looked at them, they looked at us,
Yeah.
and we kept on going, and they kept on going. But I know in Florida, during that same time, they
That's the one that I talked
arrested. Yeah, they arrested
That pastor
Yeah,
kept getting arrested over and over again, and I've used that as an example about law enforcement, because you know they had the sheriff's office out there, and they're arresting this guy's like in his 80s, handing out sandwiches and going to jail. And it was like, yeah, we really hate to do this, but you know, it's the law. You hate to do it, and you're still doing it. You know there's an ethical problem with arresting an 83-year-old man for giving someone a sandwich.
yeah,
But they still do it. And you trust law enforcement? Be careful. That's all I'm saying. But there's a lot of states that enforce something like that now, and counties in different states. They don't want you to help anybody.
Yeah, they tell you.
They want to regulate it. They want to be in control.
Yeah, like I said, in Georgia, they put it out. And I guess the police officer could say, yeah, we were running around, but we didn't see anybody.
Sure.
You know, whatever. They didn't enforce it here in Georgia.
Like we said, now we don't know if it's gotten stricter. But,
yeah.
But.
Yeah, but, yeah.
It's another thing to consider.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's an entire system built around that. They don't want to help anybody. They don't want to share. They don't want to find a way to make it work. There's no profit in it. There's no control in it.
Yeah, because they wanted the homeless to go to the shelter, because then you got to sign in and do all kinds of stuff.
They can count them. They can regulate them.
Yeah.
You know, count the hairs on your head, as the adage goes. And it's unnecessary. It's just another measure of control that we're all subjected to. But I just wanted to put that out there since I brought it up in the previous video. Yeah, it's by design. And the people that complain about it the most, they know this. They know this. Your politician talking about hungry children knows this. Okay? Your activists know this. But what do they want? They want you to donate money.
Yeah.
Because donating money, or Elon Musk is getting thrown under the bus for this too, because it was put out there that, some percentage of his fortune could end world hunger, and Elon Musk put them on notice for that. I'll give him credit. I think it was Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
Put him on notice for it, and he was like, I'll tell you what, if you can give me like a viable program, something that a program for spending the money, and guarantee transparency of your ledgers, I'll give you $6 billion right now. He was like, I will sell stock and I will come up with the cash and I will give you $6 billion. Hasn't heard anything about that since, because it was the UN that was whining about that. UN gets billions. Where does it go?
Yeah, nobody knows.
You can't prove that they helped anybody. It's like the Clintons with Haiti. Where'd that money go? They've been suing about it for over a decade, trying to find out what happened to the $5 billion they collected. You can't trust these people. You can't trust the charities. You can't trust these politicians. You can't trust these activists, because they all have a dirty little finger in everybody's pie. But that's your solution. And then they make laws to prevent us from helping each other, basically. But like I said, just wanted to touch on that since I brought it up previously. If anybody has any other thoughts about that, please feel free to post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of that. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you knew all that good stuff. If you wanted to help the channel out, there are links for that down below. Every little bit helps, and I sure do appreciate it. And all that being said, what more can I say but stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.